Hello everybody, and welcome back to the LJL Officially Unofficial cast. We are covering Crest Gaming Act facing off against V3 Esports. We've hit silver scrapes. It's the final game. 2 games apiece. What a series we've had. I am, of course, joined by the observant Initialized as a play-by-play caster, and the optimistic Nymera when it comes down to just hoping for the best games ever, the Hapgood brothers, who are my casters. As I say always, gentlemen, please introduce yourselves.
I'll take observant, but the optimism there that came through with a slightly bitter laugh as Alex is like...
Yeah. And in fairness,
prediction's coming up.
I predicted a 3-2 either way.
Yeah.
If you asked me right now what it is, I'd need to flip a coin. This is what we live for in esports, man. We love these close games.
Dude, I fucking love this game.
Drama. If this is gonna be a reverse sweep, it would be one hell of a reverse sweep. If it were a comeback to close it out for CGA, it would be a hell of a comeback from CGA to do that. We live for this.
Yeah, we've got to ask some questions though. I'm worried about V3's mentality. Those little whispers are now alarm bells ringing in their minds, and little things like the way Yoshi...
CGA's mentality.
Sorry. Reverse it, thank you. That's the one. Yoshi
Flip it and reverse it.
I got rescued there. Yoshi, when he was caught shopping as he tried to back on the trundle outside his base gate, he just sort of sat there and took it, and I was like, either he's in the shop or he's just sort of giving up there, and that's not a good sign.
So with that you said, Yoshi and Boogie, I think, have been defining points for these games, honestly speaking. With me saying that, Yoshi was the de facto jungler in the first 2 games, and Boogie's been the de facto one in these last 2 games. Is it jungle diff? Is Tyler 1 onto something?
So, there is an aspect of Yoshi getting caught in unfortunate positions in these last 2 losses, and then actually in the first 2 games being a very proficient engage and early game jungler. I also want to give large shoutouts to V3 solo laners. I don't know whether it's their comfort picks. I imagine it is to some extent in the Aatrox and the Syndra, but they have been team fighting very, very well, laning very proficiently, and skirmishing very well. So there's going to be a question later about, oh, what does CGA do in draft? Ban Syndra or Aatrox, one of them, you can't let them have both.
Okay, but then what about their other bans that they've been doing a lot of? These Lee Sin. Are you going to give Boogie his Lee Sin? They seem terrified of it.
His Lee Sin is really
Terrifying,
damn clean, and I think with the picks that they want to run CGA, they don't really have that good an answer to it right now.
Especially with that Barrier. Imagine Barriers mid, and then you're just like, oh, let's give him Lee Sin.
Yeah, Lee Sin's very good against that. This is the problem with the best of 5 and the unique kind of beast it is. There are now too many things you have to keep in the wheelhouse. Is it these solo laners which have prevailed in the last 2 games that you really want to ban? Ace has looked better on Syndra than on anything else. I mean, the LeBlanc is a permaban. Maybe you do want to remove that and put him back on the Jace or something, and then the same can be said of Paz with Aatrox and his other champions.
I mean, Initialize, have you got any thoughts quickly there?
I think the other thing is, I kind of want to echo back to the side selection. It's 5 games on blue side for V3. It's 5 games on red side for CGA.
Assuming V3 take this final game to blue side, which I assume they will.
I believe they have. I'm at least looking
They'll
at the screen.
They'll have side selection. We don't know whether they will actually take blue or red currently.
But
Find out shortly.
But that is a big deal, right? And actually, this last game is you've got 2 ways of doing this: return to comfort and try and run it back. Don't change. Don't rock the boat. The other option is go screw it and pull out something completely different on the hope of catching someone off guard.
And
I don't
who
know
else
what the
would
option
do that but Arya? This guy has everything in the wheelhouse. If it's a Carly, I'm going to jump out the window.
Thank you.
It could be something
Thank you.
very, very different.
All right,
let me rip this. We're up on the second
let me rip this bandage off quickly. Nothing else. I don't care about what you have to say. I just want to know who's winning this.
V3 are going to win it.
V3. I think CGA's mental is in trouble.
I think that there are too many things.
No, because I get to say my thing before you 2 start going on. So we've got 2 V3s.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Go on, Arya. Go on. Show them that they should worship you. Do it. Do it. Do it, Arya. At the end, I'm just doing it to be devil's advocate, because if I get it right, oh, I look like a god, because I said 3-0 V3. Everything's gone wrong for my first prediction, so if I can get it at the end, I'll take it. I'm happy to double or nothing now.
Sure. Well, we'll definitely have to see into that. I think we're getting pretty cose to Champions League.
Well,
the tension is palpable.
We are.
Very palpable.
Good luck to both these teams as a LeBlanc ban came through as no one's surprised.
Who knows, man? Turns out everyone's too good at LeBlanc in the LJL. Game 5, round 2, match 2 between V3 and CGA. Bring it on.
And behold, one more time, it's blue side for V3 and red side for CGA. Jarvan's banned away as well. I imagine this will be a Rek'Sai ban from CGA.
And Renekton should be banned out by V3 as well.
Senna, it's been returning back. They can't deal with that again.
Okay, alright. So Archer and Reyna did have a good performance on that bot lane. But where does this leave V3 in terms of how they're picking their solo laners as well? What is going to be the last pick from CGA? Is the Rek'Sai worth the ban? Do they think the Elise was just the same problem as well? Set is a very first pickable champion. It is removed from CGA. They're going to hover the Aphelios. It is one of those primary AD carries. Gango had a pretty stunning game on that in the last game. Even when they lost, he was the sole reason that they could have won that game if the team fights had gone right.
Yeah, and it is locked in. Gango's going to have to look elsewhere for his champion pick. Maybe CGA go back towards this Varus flex, but as of the last couple games, not been quite so effective. Aatrox locked in. I love
it.
That
I love it. Nap is another Aatrox player of some renown.
There's the Varus still.
The Varus is still there, which they have found some success on. It's looked very strong in these mid-game objectives. One skill shot lands, and then you get yourself an objective for free. What does Paz go towards now? He did play the Ornn earlier in the series. Is that something he wants to return to?
Well, Aphelios is in. They're thinking about pairing that up with a Nautilus, though. If Rascal Jester, I think, to go by, that could be mid lane yet if they're thinking about this one.
It could be. I would still like to see the Syndra locked in here. Otherwise, V3 will not be without either of their powerful solo laners that they've used in the last couple of games. Unless there is another top laner, which Paz has been hiding from us thus far. He has picked something like... He picked Mordekaiser once. There is something to be said about that. There is Ornn still available as well, returning to that.
Does Arya pick up the Syndra now? If this is what thinking about doing, Boogie will be onto his Rek'Sai. Has looked very good on this champion. Lock in the Braum.
Okay, so they have Varus Braum, lots of peel, lots of strong laning presence that's already known to be against the Aphelios Nautilus. I don't think that's going to be particularly explosive 2v2, lots of ways to disengage those kind of plays. Nocturne continually banned in Phase 2 by CGA.
Yeah, they don't want to deal with the dive combo of a Rek'Sai on top of that. I can see that being dangerous. I suspect we might see a Syndra ban here too. If Ace is back onto his Jace, give CGA a little bit of a draft advantage because I don't think Ace has pulled out all that much in the way of damage numbers on that Jace thus far.
I don't think so either. Also, it is going to be the Syndra band. So, what does Ace have left in the tank? Zoe is left available. It's more of an Arya champion than an Ace champion, but it is one of those picks which has shown up a lot in the LJL. Sejuani banned away from Yoshi. Could be the Trundle as the last ban as well. I don't know what V3 wants to ban away
maybe
from him.
Might not be an awful choice either. If they think they can deal with the Trundle, maybe they're not scared of it.
Maybe not.
Silas could be a
Silas could also be another good ban. It's the Azir. Okay, all right. So they did beat out the Silas in one game. The Azir was in the game 2 victory from CJ, I believe. It was one of the first games.
Yep.
So okay. Right, Trundle locks in, and there could be a Zoe pick either way. That's what I'm thinking now. That's the kind of the S tier mid laner, which is Lynn left up.
Does Ace go to it?
That's the thing, right? What is he going to go towards? Is he going to go back towards the Jace? Is that what he's comfortable on? There are just too many variables here to truly kind of predict this. They still have a top lane.
Ace has already played
Rumble
the Rumble, and it is.
I love this.
It could be. Well, it depends. It's still got a last pick. It could be something else. Yeah, it could be Rumble top even. We'll have to find out. Maybe they've got something special in play here.
You know what I love about this? Rek'Sai knock-up into Rumble Equalizer is a fantastic way to zero out something like a Varus. This is going to be very interesting. Throw a Cannon Barrage on top of it. We have a lot of teamfight ultimates available from V3.
Oh, yes.
We saw the Gangplank from CGA. It didn't work out for them in that game. Gangplank this time going to be in the reverse matchup of the GP versus the Aatrox. Let's see how V3 pilot it. Last pick to Arya, the man, the myth, the god of the mid lane in the LJL. He has a time to think
They
about
think
what he's
about
going
the
to
Varus mid and taking up the Misfortune. They did a really good job with that before, and Gango looks so good on that champion. It is locked in.
So once again, the Varus flex for the second time this series from CGA. And we bring ourselves to the final game drafts.
I'm a little worried for those AD carries because that Rumble equalizer lands and they have no way off outside of probably a Ghost
So-
Blade active and a Strut from Misfortune.
Picture this. Gravitum ultimate, GP ultimate, equalizer, and then a Void Rush and the knock-up on Burrow from the Rack side, perhaps even set up by a Dredge line and a Depth Charge as well. V3 have a lot of ways to hold the carries which have no mobility abilities on CGA accountable.
Well, Gango and Arya, the weight of this game will be on your back. You need to stay alive. You need to do yourself a favor and not group up for an equalizer to burn everything you've built thus far in the playoffs down to the ground. But V3, I feel, came out on top probably in that draft a little.
However, speaking from the side of CGA, if V3 fail to pull the trigger and there is a flubbed engage onto the Misfortune, it turns around with a bullet time. We saw what Gango could do on that champion a few games ago. Arya shown us the damage numbers on the Varus as well. And of course, the Aatrox now in the hands of Nap. Paz has shown us how to play that a couple of times already. Nap will be looking to return the favor. It's another series between V3 and CGA going the full distance, going to 5 games. Last time it went the way of V3. CGA looking to have that revenge match from last summer. Bring it on.
Yeah, exactly. And this time around, Nap is the one in the Aatrox into the Aatrox GP matchup, looking hopefully to give a little bit of vengeance for his game 3 loss on that GP.
Yeah, and the stakes are high. There's pride on the line, and there is a round 3 appearance on the line. The winner of this will go up against Dead Nation Focus Me, and they'll want to do that by finishing off this series with style and some flair.
Yeah, because DFM, you can nearly guarantee, will be feeling a little bit humbled and more than ready to prove themselves worthy of returning to the finals. So whichever team out of V3 and CGA win this series, they're going to want to come up pretty big.
And you know what's very strange? This is a lethal tempo Varus mid lane. This might not even be the poke Varus. This could be a DPS Arya.
He's running TP.
He's running teleport because you do want to run that when there isn't a massive CC threat. It allows you perhaps to reset earlier in the lane. This is going to maybe be the on-hit Varus, but from the mid lane. That is a very strange adaptation.
Lucian can step aside. Varus is a new AD carry in the mid lane. Arya is thinking about that. It is, isn't it? He's got that lethal tempo. For that, we will see whether he still builds.
Okay, right.
He may still build it, and look at that V3 given the advantage.
It doesn't get close. It doesn't get much closer than that in the LJL votes, actually. We saw a lot of votes going towards V3 at the very start of the day, but then with 2 quick defeats, things got a bit hairy. It is going to be another disrupted level 1. Boogie going to very quickly disengage from that red buff. Level 1 versus Braum, as we found out in game 1, not something you particularly want to tangle with. Yoshi takes the red buff, and we're going to have some vertical jungling. Archer and Reyna here, though, may be able to pick up an early trade. Winter's Bite lands, though.
It does, and Boogie's already decided he's going to do the leashless start on the Wolf Camp and move on from there. But Aatrox into GP is fairly self-sufficient, and assuming Aatrox is aware that things may be going on, he can wait a little bit before he starts pressing up in that lane, and it gives that bot lane of Gango and Grendel a little bit more freedom to do damage against Archer and Reyna, who have at points struggled this series.
They have at points struggled, and Grendel, we very much liked his peel support. He had a good Braum game in that one game against the Echo and the Jace, diving onto Gango, but you know, there was just a massive door in front of him. See if he can repeat that performance.
Good try. Level 2 came in first for V3, and that means that Grendel takes about half his health bar and challenges. Archer throws down the onslaught and throws some damage in. Not struggling so far.
But priority over to the Aphelios lane here as well, with the Nautilus landing a good hook. It's a push in the top lane as well, perhaps an opening for Yoshi on the Trundle to try and walk in there and land a pillar. Mid lane, Frozen on the side of Ace, actually zoning out Adia here, who hasn't got the ability to shove this in at his early levels of just having the Q and E.
Yes, he's going to do his very best. We still don't know where he builds this. He could still just go poke and lethal
Could do.
tempo.
Absolutely could do.
Absolute
We saw this.
opportunity.
We saw this at Halo Blades with Yutori Miyashi, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think just having the extra attack speed helps you, regardless, just against these melee matchups where they don't have the CC and trying to shut you down. Helps you just raise your DPS to the point where maybe you can just dissuade them from trying to all in you.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Yoshi finds Reina coming towards his blue buff. Boogie's going to try and potentially contest. Scuttle Crab, though, will be free real estate for Boogie here in the river.
Yeah, so it's going to be a 3 buff for Yoshi, but maybe a double scuttle for Boogie, which would end up being a relatively even trade, actually. There are some red pings going down onto the top scuttle, and as Aatrox has got priority in the top lane for this point in time, there might be a fight around it very early in.
Mana trade in the mid lane versus that. Ouch.
It does, but mid lane's actually pushing in either way for V3. We could see a very important fight around the second scuttle. Double buffs for Yoshi, only the blue buff here
Ace
for...
got to be a bit careful. That pillar was well placed. Again, Yoshi has put some clutch ones down, and Ace has not gone towards his turret. He's going to have to think about flashing over this wall. Yoshi's tracing down. Can't quite get close enough. That Electro Harpoon was so damn clutch.
So, 2 summoners out of Ace, and it's some time wasted, very importantly, from Yoshi in this early phase. Nap is going to walk into Boogie.
He gets just out of range, gets knocked up. I think he'll be just about
Yeah, without the red buff.
dashes.
Without the red buff, I think Boogie's going to be not really doing much there. It's a good chunk, and the problem is now Aatrox has a frozen top wave to deal with. Unfortunately, Ace will be losing a wave in the mid lane, but the top lane is definitely going in favor of the GP. Last time we saw this, we saw that the Aatrox managed to get an advantage over the GP early because the GP wasn't feeling safe. Yoshi's on the bot side.
He's got to be very careful. No, he doesn't respond. Just going to take that ward and force out. Archer and Reina trying to fight for this pink ward. Do take most of his health, but can't get close enough to clean it out for now, though.
Yeah, they're managing to defend
They're
the
being
vision.
frozen against right now.
They are being so the wave is on the side of CGA's tower, and against this Trundle who can just kind of pillar you and make sure these extended lanes are quite difficult. There's no Tom Kench to get you out of it this time. Could be something that CJ looked to play around.
Yeah, freeze finally being broken here as minions stack up, and it will start to shove back towards V3, and they're probably going to think about looking for a reset at some point.
Double up lands onto Archer, a bit of trading there. It is actually going to be the wave pushing back into V3, which gives the ability for Yoshi to maybe walk into the other side of the map and try and find a camp of boogies to steal, or do what he has done so very often on the Trundle and start up an early dragon.
Yep, he has. Even in the last game, he found a very early Mountain Drake for them, but I think it was the only Drake they managed to really get. No, they did get an Ocean Drake off, one decent bit of positioning, but Yoshi does like going for those early Drakes, and Trundle can do it. He is on vision, though. Boogie gonna come across a red ward with his use of the control ward. Takes that out, and we'll be back into this river, just trying to ward Yoshi away from the early Drake. He does love to do so much.
Boots available for Yoshi. Doesn't have the Predator, just have the extra movement speed. And then Hook missing in the bot lane. Chilling Smite available from Boogie, who is still hanging around here. This could be a mid lane 2v2. This would be the first big fight of the field.
There's no equalizer available for us, but he's roasting. Massive roast coming in. Ace does go down does not go down yet. Does find it. It's huge. Arya gets it, but he's going to go down. It's a 2-for-1. At least Arya gets the trade back, but well played by V3.
And in the decider, the best of 1 to end the best of 5. The first blow goes to V3, taking a 2-for-1 in the mid lane 2v2. Ultimate used by Nap in the top lane as well. There's some sparks flying.
They really, really are. You felt it looked so good for the start for CJ, but that turn with the flame spitter was massive.
It's pretty huge.
Roasted Yoshi. You thought he'd be tankier than that, but of course he's only got a challenging smite to his name.
I like how they have the double flamethrower composition as well. You got the flame spitter from the Rumble, and then of course the Infernum coming out of the Aphelios too.
Well, we might be looking at hellfire and high water here in the river as
There's no flash from Yoshi.
The gangplank all comes down. Boogie flashes onto Arya. Arya's in trouble. He gets shut down. Yoshi's gonna be gets healed. Actually, does survive to get out, just out of range of the Sentinel turret. But it means Ocean Drake.
That is why you pick the gangplank. You know there are 2 people without flashes, which you can engage onto with impunity. It splits up the team. Arya is the person to go down for the second time. We've trusted him throughout almost all of the split. He's come up so huge so many times. He's gone down for his second death already this game in the deciding game 5.
And he is going towards a lethality Varus still, even with his auto attack focused rune. He's gone for a cull as well, I guess, feeling that he just needs to step back and get some farm back in this lane because he's struggling a little bit after a couple fights gone awry there.
Yeah, Ace finding some big advantages and manages to build himself up to an early Seeker's Arm Guard versus the full AD composition of CGA. You will be able to itemize very effectively with an early Zhonya's. At some point, your Seeker's Arm Guard will help these skirmishes go even further in the direction of V3.
Yeah, and what a clutch level up for Ace in that first fight. What
So
a
close.
great
Game
use
of
of the
inches, game
Gangplank
of inches.
ultimate in that last one. And that means that for now, V3 up to about 1,000 gold lead, so not massive amounts to write home about, but it has given them an early Ocean Drake, and with the Rift Herald spawned, CGA are around and about looking to get some vision.
But it's an early lead on a team that arguably outscales because of their composition. You are against full AD and you have mixed damage. You have yourself a Gangplank, an Equalizer. You have these obviously the Aphelios Assault 2, so many team fighting tools which will become so powerful as this game goes on.
Yeah, but Misfortune is here, and they're going to try and take this Rift Herald and turn that gold lead around, because mid-game, CGA have a lot to work with.
Yeah, there's a TP coming in from the Gangplank to the top lane. I think
it's
they
gonna
have
be
to
too
let this
late.
go. They weren't here in time. They might try and get something on the re-engage.
Misfortune picks it up because I don't
This
know.
time
Because she was
Paz is here trying to get a barrel.
He's got to be careful.
Careful.
Grendel's thinking about getting. Doesn't go forwards. Reyna's going to look for a hook, though. They're going to continue to fight. That's a massive barrel chain. He goes onto Grendel. He does get out, and that's a big bullet time actually in response. Oh, look at the damage! Boogie goes straight down. What a turnaround by GGA.
Chains of corruption into bullet time. Shred the team of E3. Thought they'd picked a good fight, but with no cannon barrage, and of course no Archer there to start backing up the fight as well.
There comes the Rift Herald
Damage
as well.
goes the side of CGA. Herald summon top lane.
They are going to continue to shove in. Plates are available, but there's not that much of a health bar on Grendel. He's got to be a bit careful, and maybe that's not going to be the
Flash!
Flash onto the hook, onto Grango. He goes down. Reyna stays alive. What a clutch play from him.
Clutch play indeed. It is Gango that goes down.
Snaps
Huge bullet
frozen.
time.
They're going to keep going. Paz has got trial by fire. There's a Moonlight Vigil. Grendel is in front. He's got low HP, and that was a tiny sliver away from hitting.
Oh, the
But
cheap heal.
The cheap heal. Fade away to get the kill. Reyna misses the dredge line back. Paz is here. He's got a barrel in there. He's thinking about getting this with the clockwork winding down. But V3 turnaround, what was a great turnaround to begin with from CGA.
And the big game players come out to play this game. Reyna with a flash hook.
On Grendel? On Paz, sorry?
That is a mistake. That is a very big mistake. He's bought the same item twice. That's actually going to be like a minus 300 gold to him because he'll have to sell that at some point.
Oh, that's...
Nerves coming through, maybe.
That's not a good one.
It's not a good one indeed. I mean, like, maybe he's doing the style. If they do win with the double sheen Gangplank, maybe that's some extra props.
This isn't D&D. You don't get to just do two-weapon fighting out of nowhere. Just say, you know what, I'm wielding two swords now. It's like, that's not how it works.
Unfortunately, it isn't, but you know what does work? Team fighting like people that are good at team fighting. V3!
I sold it and changed it out for a phage after that. Nice. I was like, where are you going with this? And then he just froze and went, people who are good at team fighting. I'm going to save that one. We're going to use that elsewhere.
That's going to be on a t-shirt somewhere near you on Redbubble. It's going to be 5 kills to 2 in this early game. 11 minutes in. Kills to either side though, and we are kind of at a bit of a lull state. The waves crashing against the bow of this ship. Going to come to a bit of a still water.
But this is just a calm before the storm, because Infernal Drake will be on the Rift in just over a minute. And with the way these teams have been playing thus far, you can bet there'll be a fight around that.
I think you definitely can. These teams, this is the game I thought we would have at the start of the series.
Me too.
And it's taken us a while. We saw some big fights in the other fights, the other games too, but now everything is coming online. This is not a slow-paced game. It's 7 kills in 11 minutes. Not the fastest we've seen in the LJL, but it is definitely up from some of the games this series. We don't see our first items coming through just yet, but who needs items when you've got the will and a way to try and get into these fights?
And there are a few important item components around, though. BF Sword Coalfields for Misfortune, and she will have bullet time available as this Infernal Drake's up. Serrated Dirk in on this Varus. Cinder Hulk completed for Yoshi's a big deal, but it's the Warrior enchant on Boogie at 1-1 and 2 on the Rek'Sai. Could do a lot of work too.
And Boogie has been impacted in the early game. We saw why they banned it in game 4. They were afraid of it. And he's going to tunnel into Arya, who still has...
got the flash for the equalizer. He's trapped in a bit of an awkward spot. Walks back over it.
Oh,
Boogie takes a
God.
big trade in return, and his health bar will be low around this Ocean Drake's or Infernal Drake spawn.
Oh,
Yoshi's gonna
God.
try and get onto him, gets a pillar, gonna try and get onto him, challenging smites a lot, and the chomps there as well. Forces a flash out of Boogie, and that means that Infernal Drake is CGA's.
And there's also a teleport now here. If he does want to reset, the trade goes the way of V3. As you were saying, big trade onto Boogie as he went onto Aria under that outer mid lane turret. This will...
No equalizer as well.
There's no equalizer. There is a cannon barrage, but they are just going to choose to let this go the way of CJ, and we'll find out what flavor of Rift will be on this Game 5. It's a mountain. It will be those defensive stats. Not a huge amount of tanks in both these games. Probably favors CJ if I'm going to say anything about it.
Trundle, Braum,
Actually,
Aatrox, I can
no,
see that.
I take that back because it is a single type of damage from the side of CGA,
Ah.
which means that all of the armor, even from each of the individual people that might build it up, like something like a Zonya's, where we see the Seekers, which will build towards for Ace, will have more value against the single type of damage from CGA.
A worthy point, dear analyst, and we'll continue as this game on. Ace back in the mid lane, shoving down, but Naps come down to defend this turret as we saw Arya actually go top lane briefly. I think he was picking up the red buff by the looks of it, possibly. Or
Maybe.
Don't know where. No, Yoshi's taking that. I've no idea where he was going.
He might have
Went
just
for a
been
bit of a wander.
maybe just trying to pick up a wave at turret there.
Up the top side,
No
that would make a lot of
farm,
sense.
no farm wasted.
Yep, no farm wasted. Exactly. All good pro players, all good players in general. Never waste your farm.
Absolutely, indeed. We have ourselves once again one of these calms before the impending storms, which we have had a couple of thus far.
Herald.
There's a Herald storm coming up in a minute. That might be the eye of the storm. Never mind the eye of the Herald, which they will be fighting over. We have a not Leandri's Torment. We have the Haunting Guys coming out of Ace. I completely forgot the name of that item.
It's okay, but
Coming out of Ace, which will be a good point of power. And more importantly, we have a Triforce on Gangplank, a Ghostblade on Arya, and then the Essence Reaver on Gango. These first items finally coming through. These fights are only going to get even more damaging.
Yeah, and whether that means that Felos is not going to have a first item for this fight could be a big deal. Ghostblade complete for Arya as well could well be a big deal. These are some decent item break points for CGA. The Trinity Force is a big deal for the gang.
See, I can tell you're really concentrating on the game because I mentioned the items.
Oh,
then you just mentioned the items.
I know, because I know you mentioned the Trinity Force. I was saying if this Herald came up, I know you heard the Trinity Force. I'd missed the Ghostblade point. I was a bit distracted by looking down at one of my notes, so I apologize for that.
No. We this Game 5 obviously very encapsulating here, and we do see the river holding a lot of these members here. Barrels put down by the GP.
Yeah, Yoshi takes a bit of a chunk there, but it's a good Winter's Bite onto Reyna, who takes a lot of HP. Yoshi has to flash away, but he's got the Subjugate down, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Does get away right now. It is healing up even through the Ignite. The Chakrams were huge, but that is all those teamfight ultimates used by the side of V3. And for not
Yoshi's way too low to fight this now. That's going to be Herald over to V3.
And I think every ultimate burned by CGA, every ultimate burned on the other side too, outside of a Void Rush from Boogie.
There's also the Moonlight Visual available from Archer.
Well, maybe they think about fighting.
But there's no smite here. There's still quite a way off. Boogie is going to have this smite available to him.
Reyna's found a flank. He's got to have found his way on Gango. That's a decent trade onto Archer, though, who takes a lot of damage. Boogie's on the back. They did pick up the Rift Herald in the end, though.
He did. And Paz is walking up here. Might get killed by the Winter's Bite.
May have to use his orange. He's got that down. The stacking begins. Hasn't had to use it. Did get the speed up from the Phage and the barrel explosion. But that was a touch close.
That's one of the few plays you can see made on the aggressive front by the Braum. Flash forward for the Winter's Bite. Have a couple of AD carries behind you to try and stack that up. What this will mean is the Herald still goes the way of V3. They have the Herald on Boogie. The top lane turret is going to go down without it, which means that once again, they will be able to put it into another lane. It's going to be the goal going over to Boogie and Ace, the mid lane 2v2. That did start off the game so well for V3. This game is still at an even kind of keel, though. We saw that
about 2k up in the lead for V3.
There is a gold lead, but we still see that Arya can put out so much damage if it hits onto Archer. The rest of the team can very much finish him off. There's so much to be aware of from both teams in terms of the team fighting skill shots and ultimates available to the teams.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gents. And with the Mountain Drake coming up on this Mountain Rift in about a minute, I can imagine that will be the next point of contention. Infinity Edge through for Aphelios.
Infinity Edge coming through. That's pretty huge. The burst, if he gets like a lucky crit on something, if he gets those Crescendum turrets down with something like a Calibrum, we saw what happened when Gango did that last game. Yeah. You can almost turn around any kind of objective fight if you walk into those turrets and then the crit comes through with the Infinity Edge that buffed up. That if that goes on to Gango or Arya, that might seal the objective for your team.
And it's worth pointing out as well that Paz on this Gangplank has had a significantly better experience into the Aatrox than Nap did in the reverse matchup, as he's at 2-0-1.
He's been getting some big barrels down,
Execution is calling picked up, yeah, it has been, and they're only going to get more destructive as this game goes on.
It is worth noting that the ultimate of Gangplank is magic damage, and if execution is only applies on physical damage, so if he has to get barrels and Qs down to apply the grievous wounds, doesn't actually affect that ultimate.
That's a really good point, but of course barrels, the barrels he has been landing will be pretty effective. The Rift Herald summoned here to ensure priority in this mid lane as they look to contest around the Mountain Drake, you assume, but they are shoving this wave in, and they're going to rotate straight over to that Drake as the smite goes down. Early onto that, Yoshi's got a second charge, that's fine for now, and the Herald goes down. Big ultimate down. Arya survives it, but had to flash. But that's once again all three of those AoE ultimates burned. Arya has no teleport, though, and he's out of the fight.
But if Arya isn't there for the team fight, they don't have the team Chains of Corruption. They don't have the follow-up execute damage of the Piercing Arrow with the Blighted Quiver active as well. They can't fight without Arya. V3 realize this, force the flash, force the reset, and get themselves the first Mountain Dragon of this Game 5.
They do, and that's a big advantage. They don't get the mid lane turret, but they do get the Drake, and Paz gets a nice shove onto this bot lane tier 1 as well.
This Gangplank is doing some work as well. He's able to farm up to a nice lead, got himself some side lane turrets, going to get himself the bottom lane one as well, and
mid lane falls at the same time. I think it's going to be 3 turrets, all of the outer ones down now for V3.
So, for the side of CGA, what does not a comeback, because it is still somewhat of an even game, even though you have lost a couple of turrets. What does a one-team fight, what does a one-game look like for CGA? We saw what happens when you have the Chains of Corruption spread and you have a bullet time available. You can just delete everyone on the other team. We haven't seen the combo of Varus MF in the LJL before, so this is a lot of there might not be the muscle memory from V3 to understand that limit to play around. But if you have to stand still to channel that ultimate while the equalizer is up, you're going to get roasted alive as Gango. Lots of things to count. You got to count your cooldowns and make sure that if you're going to stand still, you got to do it when you're safe.
Yeah, absolutely. CGA looking for a shove in this mid lane. That arrow didn't do all that much, but the tower down to about half HP. Going to continue to shove in, but the wave clear between an Infernum and a Crescendum is pretty significant. Oh, Reyna takes so much damage. Nap's now in a 1v2 in the bot lane at the same time, though. Think this Aatrox is dead to rights. There's a Void Rush that's going to come through for an execute, and Boogie cleans up that kill.
Superstar Jungler picks up his 4th kin involvement of this game. Equalizer used to clear the wave out as well, knowing that there's no team fight available from CGA after those ults were committed. And then there's also the Baron available if they choose to get some vision around it. It's only just spawned, though, and they're not the fastest team or the safest team to take it. They're just going to look for some priority in the top lane.
Yep, CGF might have got the bot lane tier 1, but that's about it in terms of towers. The mid lane turret's bound to about half HP, but going to get that through the equalizer, the Crescendum turrets. Just a nightmare, and with a Leandri's Torment completed for Rumble as well. That's a huge deal.
Crescendum turrets for Aphelios have come up so huge in this series. Just in this series in particular, it's helped people win out on objectives, helped people defend their towers, get some great poke down across teams as well. Very important weapon. So if you see the chakrams available towards the Aphelios, that's what you have to look for as a spectator. They can be used to zone out so many of these players on CGA.
Why is he called the Weapon of the Faithful when actually what he has is
he's
multiple
actually a
weapons?
person. Yeah,
he's got so many weapons. Should he be Weapons of the Faithful? Because he's not really a man but many guns.
It's like in the same kind of so you know, like it's like, oh, like what kind of, were you like a monster trunk kid, or were you like a superhero kid or a dinosaur kid? Actually, I was a human kid.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Aphelios obviously just
we were.
Aphelios just likes his guns, man. That's it. And I can appreciate that. Good. Boomstick goes boom.
Boomstick does go boom.
And he has himself a QSS second item. He wants more ability to go around and navigate through these team fights, get out of the chains of corruption. And it's also worth noting that, you know, he's not the person with the highest KDA on his team. The person with the highest KDA is currently Paz.
Yeah,
this Gangplank, we've talked about it a little bit before, has had a really good early game. So nice, in fact, he feels so unthreatened. He's not going towards something like the Starks. He can even go towards the Essence Reaver for the extra crit chance and, of course, the 40% CDR between the Essence Reaver and the Trinity Force.
Yeah, but that QSS for Archer will
Sees on
delay
the
his
mid lane
second
again.
true item. Boogie's found his way in behind. They're going to try and get on the
Oh,
gang
gangplank
come
ult.
down. Check out for that equalizer. It's not come down yet, but CJ are grouped up. Boogie's round the back.
Oh.
Going to try and come under. Doesn't land. Archer takes a bit of poke at the end of it, but he has got Severum, and so will heal up pretty swiftly. That's a good pillar onto pass, though. Taking up Boogie's into the backline. He flashes onto Gango, who's got exhausted. Oh, and that equalizer. Not up on there as well. But CGA got absolutely a triple kill for this Rumble, and I think that's a full team ace.
It's a
for the
full
side
team
V3.
ace. It's 11 kills for 2, and let me introduce you to one of the Japanese specialities. It's the hot pot. It comes down with the equalizer locked in place with the Dredge Lion and, of course, the depth charge. It's going
Beautiful
to be
garnishing on top.
It's all the garnishing. You get yourself some dead 80 carry mixed in, and it's going to be the recipe for a Game 5 huge advantage for V3. They lost the first 2 games. They're looking like they're taking a commanding lead in this 5th.
Baron will be secured, and CGA are left reeling after that ridiculous wombo combo. The flash onto the Misfortune, the horrifically massive equalizer in that corridor. Just so well played. There will be a Mountain Drake in 30 seconds, but I don't even know whether CJ can think about getting there in time. They're going to try.
And very few times do we see a wombo combo work out this cleanly. We saw that the gangplank ult was committed first. They were looking for the fight. It didn't work out in the initial kind of front of it. The Dredge Line misses and some poke lands onto Archer. But the re-engage from Yoshi just is not aware of how far they have overstepped their bounds. You've got the Moonlight Visual chucking out all the chakrams. The equalizer across 4 people in the CC to keep them locked and roasted in place. And then Archer goes and solos out here as well.
Alright, CGA commanding the position around this Drake, but they are now down 11 kills to 2 and down about 8,000 gold post this reset. It's not even like that gold's in inventory, it's in items.
Cannon Barrage is back up.
Cannon Barrage is back up, it's dropped down. Gang goes over the wall, takes a big chunk from the barrels. And that time is decent, but there's just not enough damage. Reina does fall. That's something. Archer takes a big damage in the backline, and Yoshi, though, being chased down. And this Gangplank is just disgusting. TP now
to the mid lane.
To end the game. They've got Baron buff still.
And this will be the reverse sweep victory for V3, taking 3 back to back to back. 2 almost aces, 2 wombo combos, bringing in the team of CGA into the oven that has been aces. Rumble this game. Welcome to round 3, V3. Look forward to DFM.
It absolutely will be. What a game from, and this is by far their cleanest game. It's a 24, nearly 25-minute stomp. And this game is done. 5-game series. 3 games go the way of V3, and they'll be facing DFM at an indeterminate point in the future.
So, post-series thoughts. It's sad to lose CGA, but V3 come out on top. Masked Swan. What did you think of Game 5? You're muted.
Oh, yes, I am. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's because I mute it via the microphone, not via the app, but I do the double mute. Anyway. Oh my god. Okay, so let me unpack that one quickly. So Isa said that V3 were going to be a 3-0 team. I was very confident. I thought Boogie was going to ride high with Ace, and I was like, oh, this is going to be the easiest make of my decision. No, first they get stomped, then they lose their streak even harder, and then they 3-0 it.
I liked it's a delayed 3-0. So
it's a delayed 3-0.
Try and claim that.
Yeah, sure. Let's say that.
I see it.
Yeah, let's go with the fact of delayed 3-0 is totally what I was expecting from that crazy situation. Honestly, GG well played to both of the teams. Why? And like honestly, V3. If you keep playing like that, and how you did some of those team fights, especially that ace, I was like screaming, had to unmute myself to scream ace to these two.
Very rarely do you see a wombo work out as beautifully as that, thinking about it. It was
true.
Having the equalizer onto 4 people with ace who had such a strong lead in that game as well. Onto people that just are not champions, which are not designed to deal with an equalizer. Varus and MF are immobile carries, they don't build up large amounts of MR, and they don't have weight. They want to stand and shoot. We saw in that last team fight, in fact, MF was channeling the bullet time, and just Paz flashed over and like got 3 autos into their face, because there's nothing MF can do to disengage from that.
And there is something to that, isn't there? We asked DFM yesterday, what answer have you got into the Victor and Varus? V3 showed us a pretty good one today. Cannon Barrage and Equalizer stops immobile carries who have like no resists from doing anything in the game. I think Ace spent more time flashing away from Equalizer than actually doing damage that game, and that was pretty disgusting stuff.
I would definitely agree with that. This has honestly been a series, like, which was better, Sengoku DFM or V3 CGA? Like, this...
They've been so different.
They've been so...
Yeah,
but they've both been insane. I'm like... now I'm on an adrenaline rush, and now I want to go to bed because I've been awake since 1 a.m. So now I'm like, my body is so confused right now.
I'm on my 4th cup of coffee. I'm on like my 5th League of Legends game. All of this is bad for my sleeping schedule.
What is a sleeping schedule? I do want to say thank you so much for everyone out there for watching. All of the VODs will also be up very soon. Honestly, it's been phenomenal. We've had a great response, honestly. Biggest response ever, so much love out there for everybody else. Huge hearts out for everyone. We also want to say from everybody here, be safe. Corona is real. Wash your hands regularly. Stay inside. Thank you for watching if that's what you've been doing to pass that time. It's why we do this, weirdly enough. But yeah, content helps pass the time away. Stay safe out there. Be happy, be healthy, and go and call your grandmother, your parents, or just a friend at any doubt. I'll pass it over to Initialize and Amara for a few closing thoughts for you guys.
Well, my relationship with the Church of Fire has ended. All hail the Lord and Savior Boogie. And the Church of Rumble in the mid lane. Done so much work this game. I'm really looking forward to seeing V3 continue to go forwards. It'll be a tough matchup versus DFM. We've seen Ace before versus Zeros and Steel end up in difficult positions, but DFM look mortal. V3 may have an answer.
That being said, like, I am so glad we got CJ into the playoffs. We got to see 10 games of them. 10 games of this crazy team fight, just utterly stupid at points team, just going off the handle and fighting everything they see in sight. It's been an absolute joy to watch you, CJ. It's sad to lose you at this point in the playoffs, but congratulations to V3. All aboard the USS Boogie, I guess, going on to round 3. Up against DFM, they have a 1-1 record against them. Same thing as that Sengoku did. I'm looking forward to another exciting series there.
And with that said, we won't be around for a little bit. The LJL is taking about a month or so break, assuming everything does go through as originally planned. There have been some updates that things might have changed. So we will keep you updated as much as we can, obviously. Feel free to follow us on Twitter or on our Discord. We are very active on both, so links are below.